Today I want to speak about something that has shaped not just my life, but the way I see the world as movement. Not just as a dancer, but as a human being going through life's challenges and transformations. When I think about movement, two words come to mind: challenge and bridge. These words have been my companions throughout my life in ways both seen and unseen. Life presents us with challenges, and the way we meet them is by crossing bridges, those connections that take us from one phase of life to the next, from fear to safety, from the past into the future. Here we stand physically under a bridge, a historic site that connects people and places. This bridge, as I have said already, is a reflection of my own journey, both as a dancer, both as an artist, and as a woman. I was born into a world of limitations. I didn't have the perfect body for ballet. My father, like many men of his generation, dismissed dance as something frivolous and unworthy. I had a different kind of dream. I wanted to connect to something deeper, more meaningful, through movement, through the body. The connection came through my mother, a piano teacher. Music became my bridge, the thread that led me into dance. It was only later, after many years of struggle, that I found the place that I was looking for, that helped me connect to dance and movement, not just as a performance skill, but as and working with steps and moves, but as a way to connect to the body-mind, the thinking body, the emotional body, a way to tell stories. Dance movement became a biography, both of mine and of the places I performed in. In many of my performances, I have been connecting to topos, the history of the land, the place in English, and the ancestry between who I was and the people who came before me. In Cyprus, a place with a long history of occupation and conflict, this connection felt even more vital. This is how dance body and its movement became ways for me to process and to connect with memory. Memory, for me, is also the way I crossed from a place of fear, of not feeling adequate, of not being adequate, of not fitting the mold, into the place of freedom. It's been a journey of crossings. One of my most profound memories is rooted in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of falling, as Beckett would say. In 1974, during the invasion of Cyprus, I witnessed tragedy, loss, and the unraveling of a country as I knew it. There were moments of sheer terror when I felt unsafe in my own skin. Yet fear is also a bridge we must cross if we are to reach freedom. Dance helped me cross that bridge. It allowed me to use my body as a vessel to express what words could not. Dance became the language that led me into transforming fear into movement and pain into art. In 1983, the picture you are seeing here, is the time I returned to Cyprus as an upcoming young new dance artist. I experienced a new kind of fear. I presented a group performance titled Soma Horos, which in English means the body and its surrounding space, a work that challenged the traditional ideas of dance. It was bold, raw, and unlike anything the audience had seen before. In the next day in the press, They called it not art, but an anomaly. This criticism brought me back to a familiar place, challenge. The challenge of creating new forms, of being misunderstood, of pushing boundaries, and of bridging the gap between what had been and what could be. In many ways, this crossing from fear to safety was not just personal, but professional. How do we, as artists, create new forms in a place resistant to change? This is where vocabulary became essential. As artists, we often develop new forms, but it's the vocabulary we use that helps bridge the understanding. The challenge I faced then was not only in creating these new forms of dance, movement, and performance, but in finding a language to bridge to our audiences, a language that could be comprehensible. Over time, theorists helped us develop a more inclusive, interactive vocabulary to support these new forms, making art more democratic and accessible. Now, what connects art to our audiences? Creativity. Creativity is the bridge that connects us. It's connecting us not only to the external world, but to our internal world. It's a process that connects the unconscious to the conscious, allowing us to cross the boundaries of our own understanding. This is the dichotomy I have explored through my life and career, crossing from what we know to what we feel, from logic to intuition, from form to flow. When I returned home, I realized the creative process itself is a kind of polishing. Life tests us, challenges us. And the way we meet these challenges is by being creative, either as human beings or as people, as artists. We polish the lithos, the philosopher's stone, the stone of our own being, transforming it into something unique, like gold. Yet this process is not linear. It takes time, crossing from one stage to another. It involves many layers, many journeys, and much patience. The challenges, for instance, that I have been facing in developing dance and performance in Cyprus were not easily resolved. It took time to build the infrastructures needed to support new art forms. It wasn't until after 2000, when the new generation of artists returned to Cyprus, that we began to see real progress. Together, we created institutions like the Dance House Lefkosia, bridges between Cyprus and Europe, platforms, festivals, and made dance more visible, more inclusive, and a way to be more accepted. This process is ongoing. The young artists are still challenged. Today, they still fight for recognition, for the validation of their work, for the funding needed to support and create and sustain their careers. The crossing in this sense is never over. It is a continuous process of polishing, of refining and redefining ourselves and our craft. In my journey, two arches stand under my life's bridge: art and love. They are the pillars that support me and hold me up, the forces that have guided me through the hardest of crossings. I had thought of life as a choice between art or love. But in truth, they are interconnected. It's about the self and the other. Love and art both leading to a deeper understanding of ourselves, to compassion, and to connection with others. I believe we are all artists. In some way, we are all artists. In my workshops, my goal is to bring out the artist within each person. This is the essence of the life art process, a sociocultural activity. Through creativity, we transform our lives into art, and art into our lives by reflecting through our works the human experience on this planet. Every challenge we face, every bridge we cross, polishes the stone of self, moving us closer to something more precious, more true, more authentic. But both art and love require focus, curiosity, and a commitment to the process of discovery and creation. Here you will see some photos of projects that I've done with artists and non-artists, with masks, with devised theater. This is the Pandora's box. Here we have working with able and disabled, Danceability and Steve Paxton to the Island. And I carry on by saying that where does challenge leave us? Today, in a world full of uncertainties and changes, we come back to where we started, with fear. Every challenge, every crossing is a confrontation with fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of change, fear of falling. As I look back on my own journey, I see that every challenge was an opportunity to grow, to expand, and to bridge the gap between the person I was and the person I was becoming. The forms I developed in dance, movement, and performance, they took time to be embraced. They needed time to be understood. With time, they were embraced because creativity, like life, always finds a way through. The arts of dance, movement, and the body offer great tools for crossing. They create a safe place, they hold safe place for dialogue with self and with the other. They help us bridge and connect to our own bodies, our own earth, so as to embrace our challenges, so as to keep crossing and find our way to step across the bridges with compassion and insight. These are photographs that are following from work we've done for bridges across the divide. This piece here you see, it was a piece dedicated to the memory of the missing persons on both sides of the divide, where we looked at the humanity and the pain, transcending and embracing, honoring the families and the people. We are constantly building bridges between the self and others, between tradition and innovation, between the conscious and the unconscious. We are always crossing. The story, as I said, is far from complete. By meeting our challenges, we are polishing the stone of self, not just once, but over and over again, until we become the gold we were always meant to be. As I stand here before you today, I ask you to reflect on your own crossings. Where have your fears led you to? What bridges have you built? What bridges remain uncrossed? Remember, the journey is not linear. It's multi-layered, ongoing. Every challenge is an opportunity to polish the stone, to refine who you are, and what you can offer the world. The story is far from complete. We are all still crossing. We are all still creating. Thank you so much.